the impact to the fuel prices, because I majorly handled super and diesel, because Kenya consumes around 240 million liters of diesel a month and around 185 million liters of super a month. So the margin or the segment of kerosene was too marginal in terms of the expenditure. So the data I'll be using in the presentation of this committee is majorly for the two. And what will happen after these proposals, if they were to be taken holistically, is that we are going to reduce the fuel prices. Super will come to around 187 shillings, and diesel will be just around 189 shillings. And going to the next, the implication of the proposed reduction on the RMLF for this current year and the next. I think, Chairman, before I answer this, it's good that I also give the holistic proposals that I have, so that as I answer the remaining two, we can have that context. So if you look at the pricing of super, around 74 shillings of super is in terms of taxes and levies. If you go to diesel, it's around 67 shillings. That is taxes and levies. But also there are margins of 17 shillings, profit margins for importers and also for the marketers. So my proposal has been fourfold. The first proposal, and I'll start with the one that we may not delve so much in this committee, was the reduction of 4 shillings from the exporters and the distributors' margins, which are currently 17 shillings. I thought previously, like 5 years ago, there were 12 shillings. I thought desperate times like these ones would call for the players to tighten their belts. So that's why the proposal was the reduction by 4 shillings. The second one was the reduction of VAT from the current 8% to 0%, which technically we call it tax exempt. And that, Honorable Chair, will save both super and diesel 15 and 17 shillings respectively. The other proposal was the reduction of RMLF. And that RMLF currently starts at 25 shillings. And the reduction I am proposing is for the 7 shillings that was added in 2024, so that we go to what the figure was of Kenya shillings 18. And the last one was to draw some money from the Fuel Stabilization Fund of around 3.5 billion currently, so that we subsidize further the prices of diesel to come to the figure that I gave. Those are the issues. So to the question on the ramification is that on RMLF, it is a reduction of 7 shillings, just to answer the question specifically. And on the VAT, it is around 15 and 17 shillings respectively. And also cumulatively in the budget, it is just taking the figure of 185 million liters plus 240 million liters of diesel, which comes to 425 million liters. In terms of RMLF, you times by 7, it comes to approximately 2.95 billion Kenya shillings. And in terms of VAT, is also calculated, and I have it is already in the submissions. The third question was the proposed impact of the proposal on the road maintenance financing and infrastructure development in Kenya. Honorable Chair, the proposal would depend on how we treat it as this committee and the finance committee. In my holistic consideration, my consideration is that any cut in the budget, any cut in the revenue side, out of the proposed measures, instead of adjusting the specific budgets of the specific sector, we go to the expenditure side and look at where we can get some retro fat in the budget so that we work around it there. So the impact may not necessarily be on roads. On RMLF, it may be of the 7 shillings. But you know, Chair and members, the budget for roads is majorly in 3 forms. One is what we call domestically funded. It's usually like a third or thereabout. The second one is externally funded. We used to call it development partners budgets, which also by that time accounting for like a third or so. And then the third part is what we call recurrent. And recurrent is what we actually call RMLF in cumulative. So the budget then comes in 3 streams. If we squeeze in one stream, it can be the wisdom of this committee to actually expand either of the other 2 streams because they are predominantly a domain of this committee. So we can choose. If we want to reduce the budget of road maintenance by 7 shillings, we can still recover the same money through the domestically funded budget of the same road sector budget. 4, the impact of the proposed pronouncement of the 10 shillings. This one has 2 ramifications depending on how we understand it and how I understood it. The reduction that was announced of 10 shillings in Mombasa was not clear whether it is the sustaining of the 10 shillings that is in force now, as it was announced in Nairobi after the meeting with stakeholders, or it's an additional 10. So if it's the current 10, therefore it means we'll just be sustaining the interventions that are there currently. And if it's the additional 10, it means we'll be requiring to fetch in 2.4 billion Kenya shillings from the Fuel Stabilization Fund, working with 240 million liters of diesel per month. The fifth one, which I think is the last one, is any proposed alternative on the revenue-raising measures. Chairman and committee members, this is 2-pronged also. The current proposals will be needing approximately a funding of 9.8 billion, all of them. So in 8 months, it will come to approximately 60. But because I also did some analysis in terms of when there are shocks, the behavior of the supply side versus the behavior of the demand side. And it was obvious that when there are supply shocks on the side of supply, on the side of fuel, most of the time, definitely, there is also a shock of demand. Shock of demand meaning the current consumption of 240 million liters of diesel is based on a good day. But you are not in a good day currently in terms of pricing. So if you do the graph of all the other of all the other times you have disruptions, you realize that also demand goes down. So I'm working approximately at the actual money spent at around 48 to 50 billion Kenya shillings. Therefore, the way I'm talking about, the explanation of 2-prong is in this way.